right? That's under the matriarchy. That's the rules.
Right.
Just because you got a PhD, you might still not be qualified for the position that you went to school for.
Right. That's damn sure right.
You got a bunch of educated fools out there.
Another thing, man, I got a question for you. I noticed that because Doc was teaching about this, that in religion it's mostly stimulated towards the mitochondria in the mother, like as far as the shape of the buildings with the mosque and the churches.
Well, it's a lot of sexual overtones to religious constructed buildings.
Right.
Like the minaret is a phallic symbol, but the dome of the temple is a mammary gland.
Go ahead.
All right, we talking Baphomet.
Yeah.
Balancing the masculine and the feminine to become the goat.
I remember also you broke down in DC how the layout is built like a woman, how that obelisk is coming up out of looks like a
that's supposed to symbolize. Okay, so what you're looking at is the obelisk is coming out of what's called the Vesica Pisces.
Okay, that's right. I've seen that.
The Vesica Pisces is also an ancient yoni symbol.
Okay.
Which is also the Christian fish symbol.
And it looked like a vajayjay too.
Yeah, that's the yoni.
Fish, yeah, the fish symbol. It's dealing with so go back to what I was saying about the women's, Look, that ain't right. I just smell like fish, sardines, tuna, but they got something going on down there that ain't right. That's funny. That's funny as you say that. But okay, so yeah, so the whole DC really.
Brother Love say his other name. Brother Love say his other name is Menez.
Yeah, Menez. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought I heard Doc say before. Now, so it stands the reason that if they were laying all this architect based on the woman, and because I remember you telling me, in order for them to set that DC up, they had to get the approval of the matriarch and the woman based on how they laid the whole layout.
Or usurper.
Huh?
Or usurper. Lie on her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's the sweetheart swindle.
Yeah.
Mary Big Mama poisoned her off and say she told you to sell the land.
Yeah, lying bastard.
We all know that's some BS because all of the chiefs say you ain't supposed to sell, we can't sell you the land, we don't own it.
Yeah, we don't own it. How can we go sell you something?
So they wrote paperwork that said they own it, that we was delusional and instituted the salvage right. Yeah. And the squatter's right is a byproduct of that.
Colonialism in its highest form.
Yeah, and it falls under the discovery doctrine as first right of discovery.
Yeah.
But how the hell you discover it if we already here? They said because there was no royalty over here, we were savages.
Yeah, right.
That was the consensus of Lewis and Clark after the expedition because all of the chiefs was gone to Florida.
Fighting. That's right.
We went south and east. They went north and west. Came back and reported that the crash site was much bigger than they thought it was when we crashed our landmass into their ship.
Yeah. Crash.
That's what I'm about to say. Remember,
y'all bastards, boy. I'll tell you. Man, like this is what I was trying to figure out. I know that they ain't have no land of their own, so they wanted to take everybody else's shit. But it's saying like, man, what kind of beings are these that don't want to, trying to go off and do for self? They want to just take everybody else's shit and make everybody else suffer. Like, I mean, we know devils, but they got to be worse than devils, man. They just won't give up, would it?
The devil just mean enemy.
Yeah, no, adversary, right?
Yeah, the opponent. That's you against you.
Yeah, right.
You're your own devil, and you your own savior in the same body.
That's right. That's right.
It's your perception that determines which one you're gonna be.
That's right.
Right, and the noble heart. I mean, the noble character betrays the golden heart of the royal ones.
Right.
They naturally behave in a manner that makes them respectable. That's their nature.
Right.
Right. And we got all of the platinum group medals among the human family when we talking about character of heart.
Right.
And the weaker ones are the lesser metals, the iron and the lead. It's all about perspective.
So how important is the mitochondria, and say like, okay, what we eat, preserving that and keeping that, because Doc was talking about how the mitochondria can study record and study adapting and changing, and with the genetics and who you mix with and all this, it affects the mitochondria. Could you go in on how important it is to keep that mitochondria, the food you eat or whatever you do, it affects that mitochondria? Is it something you got some on that?
Look, okay, in order for the DNA to upgrade itself,
Okay,
it has to have some kind of program of self-analysis.
mm-hmm.
This self-analysis is done through the powerhouse, because the powerhouse was absorbing and re-emitting the membrane information from the epigenetics from the membranes of the cell. So the membrane of the cell talks to the center of the cell, where the mitochondria is powering the DNA chains.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And from the membrane, the crystals in the DNA is telling information to the mitochondria. Over any group, over any period of time, you will see similarities in the genetic changes that takes place gradually.
Mm-hmm.
Because the women are steady assessing the men's Y chromosome, and this is why it's only one of them.
Right.
Right. You don't have 3 Y's and 1 X. You got 3 X's and 1 Y. And the Y is lacking about 30 to 40% of the genetic information as an X.
Right.
And then you look at it under the microscope, you will see that the Y is really a mutated X.
Go ahead.
Right. So the mitochondrial is the computer that scans the genetics in order, when the solar flare comes, you're gonna know what I'm talking about, in order to upgrade the DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you look at the other way, how do it change other than gradually? Sudden changes due to solar events. This is what they tell us that happened in history.
That's right.
All of the DNA that ever changed was interfered with by radioactive UV rays from the sun throughout history.
Yeah, because
in all species.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, the DNA is programmed to perpetually repeat itself through the RNA DNA sequence and resequencing.
Right. That's what I was talking about.
Right. Why do the DNA have to break into 2 RNA strands and go find 2 other RNA strands to recombine and reform another DNA strand? This exchange in information that one strand had that the other strand didn't.
Right.
Right. And so once you understand how it's working, then you understand how it works and what's taking place within the biology of the self. So as they say, man, know thyself. When you study yourself, you study the universe. When you study the universe, you study yourself.
The big question they have is which is older? Is mitochondria older than the man? If mitochondria come from the mother, is mitochondria older than the man?
Look, it was a time when there was no Y chromosome. So that tell you that the mitochondria is older than the man. That's why the man can't pass it. The part that was required in the genome for the man to pass mitochondria is the part of the X chromosome that's cut off to produce the Y.
Man, look, we need to record that and play that shit to 10,000. The little clip you just said. We need to cut that clip and play that shit 10,000 times like they do all them other broken badass musics that they play 10,000 times and make us end up liking. Right? We need to cut. Hey, you just did a drop right there, man. You just did a drop. You might need to say that again. That's a heavy duty piece right there, man. That's a heavy duty piece. What you just said right there.
Now look, the Y chromosome has less genetic information than the X chromosome, but the male is naturally more muscular, right? And they coochie fell out in the uterus.
Go ahead.
So they coochie fell out because the mama activated the Y chromosome. Pushed the coochie out and made you, instead of you having ovaries and the clitoris, now you got dick and balls. Right? But all of the zygotes of every child that's ever in the womb is always female first. So if you was a female in the womb before you was a male, you got to know that the woman was first. Genetics prove it. The history prove it. The earth record prove it. And the fact that men can't pass the mitochondria will tell you where all of this coming from.
Hey, that's what I asked brothers earlier, because I asked brothers this question because I thought about it. I said, what would you pick? If you could pick 40 acres in the mule or the coochie, which one would you pick? And a lot of brothers say, oh, I'll take the 40 acres, right? And the old man told me, he said, well, if you, because I was thinking I've been slick taking the 40 acres, man. Like, I don't know, because they put us in this mindset. But he said, okay, so he said then, but the other man picked the coochie, right? But the man that picked the land, he ended up dying out because he couldn't produce no kids without no coochie. So the man that took the coochie inherited the land. His kids inherit the land. Because the other man that took the land, he didn't have no coochie, so he couldn't make no kids. The children are the inheritors of the land by way of the mitochondrial DNA through the mother. That's why they after the kids, and that's why they after the mothers. I'm telling you, man.
Look, what's the purpose of a bar mitzvah and a bar mitzvah?
Go ahead. Let me hear what you
Right. Those are graduations from childhood into adulthood.
Yeah.
That's what they call Judaic tradition.
Right.
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 And age for the bar mitzvah or bar mitzvah is average 13.
Right.
The boy now inherits from his family members giving him his start in life when he turned 13.
Go ahead.
He is responsible to sit under the elders at that point and learn his manly responsibilities in taking care of his family.
Yeah.
The female is the suitor now, and she's supposed to sit and be instructed until she get a man on how to be a wife.
Right.
Once she get because she gonna pick, and she gonna be coached by the women in her clan to pick. But when she pick, the man then have another responsibility. Any man that ever hook up with a woman got a responsibility to assess what she know, right? What she don't know, and how to cooperate with you. Anything that she know that's beneficial, you make sure you enhance that. And anything that's detrimental, you have to let her know. Right? And like a lot of women don't know that dressing provocative automatically is creating a hostile environment for the man that she say she loves.
Yeah.
It ain't that he don't want you going out a certain way, but if you go out a certain way, it makes it more difficult for him to serve you and protect you and perform his duties. You're going to keep him fighting all the time.
Right.
Right. But if you respect him, then you carry yourself in a respectable manner that you keep him from having to bust heads.
Right.
Right. Me, I don't really care how she dresses. As long as she happy, I'm happy.
Right.
Man, I don't got no problem with busting heads.
Right.
So it don't matter to me. But the way that everything is structured now, the single women is more modest than the married women. And that doesn't make sense. It's supposed to be the other way around.
That's facts, bro. You're saying a lot. Could you break down the mother-son connection with the Mason, the mitochondria, the information being passed down from the first teacher being the mother?
Everybody know that.
Yeah. Right.
It's in everybody's doctrine, whether it's implied or whether it's overt. In the Old Testament, it say wisdom is justified of her children. Right? In mystic circles, they say wisdom spills from the mouth of the mother and lands on the heads of the babes. Right? All of them know that. This a very popular book called At the Feet of the Master. Who you think the master is, mama? Right? And this is the origin of Ma's son, the Mason. The son who sat under the mama to get the wisdom in order to override the intelligence. Because the intelligence alone will make you despotic, but wisdom will make you more attentive to the needs of the collective. So the child that the father picked, he ain't gonna be the one, because he gonna have too many character flaws that if you bring him to his attention, y'all might get into a fight. But the one that was under the guidance and direction of mama normally wins out because he's approaching things with a wisdom's view as opposed to an intellectual linear logic view. I mean, he's seeing from multiple directions the same thing everybody else seeing, but they're only seeing it from one. Right? You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't know what to do with it, you can't use it. And wisdom is the ability to properly apply the knowledge in places where you didn't even know it apply until you tried it out and it worked.
Hey, y'all, we'll take some questions from the crowd, man. We got about 30 minutes. Hey, we'll take some. Hey, y'all got any questions for Rod containing the title? Because a couple people said they had questions. We'll take a couple questions, man, because we on fire right now, man. We in the zone on this mitochondric DNA, the matriarch rule. Man is not older than mitochondric, man. And then show me one man. I got into some debate with some Hebrews, man. I said, man, y'all, they talking about what Adam was the first man. They still telling us this Adam. I'm asking them, did Adam have a belly button? You know, well, we don't know.
If you really want the truth, they don't know if Adam was a man or a woman.
Go ahead.
If you really want the truth, they don't know if he a man or a woman until they pair him with Eve.
Go ahead.
Before that, he's just Adama, meaning he's from the earth.
Yeah.
He earthborn. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what the name Adam means. He's from the earth, from the soil of the earth.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe the rib they talking about was a parthogenic birth, and that Eve was really a daughter helping her mother out.
Go ahead.
As a developing tribal leader. I'm just, giving you an alternative perspective to look at it.
Yes, the Hebrews say they teach it. It's the father line. It's everything's from Jacob. It's the father. We can get into all the paradigms of Yaakov and all that. But I'm saying that what they teaching now on the streets is that your father, they overlook religious. It's all like about some religious clans. They overlook blatant facts and science just for because it said right here in the book. So is it possible that book could be wrong? Oh, they see God ain't wrong. And even if you present the evidence to them, they still say, oh, they override God override. If the grass green and God said it's blue in the Bible, that's what it is. That's blue, man. You got to be tripping, man. You talking about some science and all that. You going off too deep.
That's myopic perspective of looking at things.
Yeah.
And the belief that a person holds, it comes out in his character as a character defect if the information is defective.
Go ahead.
Right? So when we look at them books, and we in 2024 negotiating and debating something that the people that is being talked about had no clue it was even being written.
Go ahead.
Because the majority of the story was written years after the so-called death of the so-called person that they talking about. Under the matriarchy, we was warring tribes, but we didn't go to war. Vice lords is a comment in the
Yeah, I see it.
section. So vice lords and GDs, vice lords is the parents. The children is gangster disciples, cobra stones, peace stones, black disciples, devil disciples, Satan. All those is the babies. Vice lord is the mother clan, or what we would call it in a way where you can understand it. The vice lord line is the master bloodline across the land, and it's represented by the colors of black and gold. The children off the father's side is the blue house. The children off the mother's side is the red house. And then you have all of the children becoming to their own, and they draw their own families. And then you have other clans start to trickle out of that. Right? Like Big Meat's a 50 boy, right? But he come in through OGs that had ties to these groups called BKs and Fleeings that don't exist anymore. But for the time that they was here, they left offspring as children of a clan, right? And then these offspring form their own clan, and this is what they call gang banging. When somebody try to form his own clan, he's going to always meet with opposition. This opposition that he's meeting with is testing his grit and leadership to determine if he's worthy to the soldiers in the field to be a general that they can take instructions from. So he's going to become embroiled in tribal conflict. The closest to what we used to do before the settlers came is what they do in California. You got a problem with me? Run that fade. Run that fade. Meet me over here and run that fade. Right? And if you about what that life like you say you is, win, lose, or draw, when it's over, you're going to be a man. You're going to take your L or take your W, and you're going to take your ass home and continue to go on about your business. If you feel like the fade wasn't fair because his skills was better than yours, go train. Get in better shape.
That's right. So I took
right. Let him know you coming back. I'm coming back. You got down this time, but let him know you coming back. You asking for a rematch. Where you think that's come from in boxing? Rematch. Right? All that's trying.